Hello, viewer. Welcome to Chungu cha Jamii. My name is Betty Akuku. I am in the studio this time, and I have a guest on the other side of town. We are having a very interesting topic to discuss today. I will be giving my guest a chance to introduce himself, but before then, let's look at what are we discussing today. Right now, our children are home. Yes, we paid school fees, but they're at home with us. They are finding means and ways of learning, but this is not their responsibility, but the parents' responsibility. I do not know what you are doing exactly right now with your children at home, if you have any solutions for them to continue with learning, but I have Richard with me who is going to take us through this process and tell us what to do with our children right now. Our topic of discussion today is online learning at home. School has now shifted to be home, and we better get solutions to carry on this. Welcome, my guest, and please introduce yourself.
Thank you. My name is Richard Mutinda. I'm the operations manager, Monsena Consulting Limited, a platform that is offering online learning given the circumstances that we are in as a country.
Okay, welcome, Richard. Where are you talking to us from?
I'm talking to you from Limuru.
Okay.
Yes.
Welcome. We are in Nairobi, and we are so glad to have such kind of technology like Zoom that we are able to still obey the government rules of keeping social distancing like we are doing right now. But I appreciate technology that even this can still go on. So we have children at home, Richard, and they are not going to school as they should. We are in April right now, and the children stopped going to school in March. They should have been finishing their term right now, and a lot of things have been left pending. Please tell us a little bit about Monsena and what you do before you can tell us how we're able to bridge the gaps that are available right now.
Okay, first and foremost, it's very unfortunate that this country and the global place that we are in got into this kind of a mess. That is the COVID-19. Mm-hmm. And so to speak, the term that is first term was almost ending. But again, 3 weeks to when the school was supposed to be closed, maybe for the Easter holidays, it never did. It so happened that the school had to be closed abruptly during through a presidential release, so that we can be able to curb this COVID-19 menace that we are currently in.
Yes.
But again, learners were supposed to continue learning. And again, Monsena came up with a platform that we can be able to at least do something to our learners right from the basic levels, that is primary, secondary, and also colleges, so that we can be able to have teachers interact with them right from the comfort of their houses. But again, when it comes to issues related to the content, Monsena has been able to make sure that within the confines of the syllabus that KICD is providing for the basic and also for the tertiary levels, when it comes to maybe to some of these specific courses, we are able now to do so as a company.
Okay, Richard, the COVID-19 seemed to be such a blessing in disguise for you guys, and you have found a way to bridge the gaps that are now not possibly able to be filled by maybe anybody else. And so you are providing solutions to the students and the education sector to fill up and bridge up this gap. I need to know what kind of syllabus or what system are you offering at Monsena? Because I know we have 844, we have IGC, we have various systems in our country today. What particular system is Monsena offering?
Okay, we are specifically dealing with the 844, right from class 5 all the way to 8.
Class 5.
I remember that, yeah, remember the government of the day. We appreciate that we have the CBC, that is a competency-based curriculum that is already being rolled out right from the preschool all the way up to class 3 as we speak. So we are rolling out the CBC preschool all the way to grade 3, 8 for 4, from class 5 to class 8. 8 for 4 again, that is secondary school, form 1 to form 4.
Okay.
Yes.
Who are your clients other than the students? Because okay, obviously the students are your clients. So are the students communicating and reaching to you directly, or how are you able to do this?
What is happening, Betty, is that for the primary and secondary schools, we are reaching out to the schools specifically. Right now, we are talking to schools so that they can be able to reach out to the children through their parents. And after that, if, for example, I may give a case scenario of a primary school, we reach out to the head teacher or the principal in question here, and the principal reaches out to the parents after realizing now, after going through the system and realizing that it's worth it, of which it is, Betty.
Okay.
And then now through the school, we are able to reach the thousands and thousands of pupils and students out there at the secondary and primary levels.
So your channel is to the school, to the parents, and then to the students.
Yes.
So can
For the primary and secondary.
yes, can a student
Yes.
join as an individual?
Now we are currently working on that because there was that kind of a request where we can have an express subscription into our system directly by the parent from the comfort of their houses instead of going through the school maybe process. But firstly, we found it important for us to be able to consult the school just as a matter of process and also logistical issues here and there. But again, out of the survey that we've done so far, we are currently working on a platform, on a situation where there can be maybe a direct contact between the parent and also the parent, the student through the parent, instead of going through the school, given also we have issues related to hiccups here and there when it comes now to reaching out to the principals, given that the schools are also closed. That is something that we're also looking into, and maybe by tomorrow being a Friday, it will be sorted out.
Okay, it will be sorted out, as you say. We hope so. But first, before we go to the legit of this program, how long has Monsena been there?
Okay, we've been there since we've been working on this platform since January. Remember, as much as this program is coming to cushion the menace that we are in, we've been working on it because we also looked into the issues related to programs that can be able to offer and occupy students and pupils during the April, August, and also the December holidays, and again over the weekends. And we were taking into consideration that most of the population is moving into towns. And after moving into towns, the children have mostly absolutely nothing to do with maybe anything beyond their homework. So we were looking into it as an alternative to learning, to occupy these learners, not forgetting that work without play also makes these children dull. And based on whatever I'm talking about, this mess of the COVID-19 came into being, and it was also a breakthrough for Monsena, and again, if I may so to speak, for lack of a better word, for the students of this country and beyond to embrace the same. Remember, Rwanda and also South Sudan, we also put them into consideration because they are using our system of education. That is basically 844.
Okay. So how legit is this? Has it been vetted, and by who? Is it recognized by the Ministry of Education?
Now, remember, Betty, that COVID-19, and when the schools closed down, that is late last month, we were not ready for this in terms of logistical issues to do with the Ministry of Education, though we were going to that direction, because by the time we were supposed to go and do a presentation on this kind of a platform, is when now this issue came in. But again, we cannot be able to do this if it is not legit. Remember, we are complying with the syllabus of the day, that is the 844 and the CBC curriculum. And given the circumstances prevailing, we are also reaching out to the government so that beyond COVID-19, we can still be able to offer this kind of a service to Kenyans and beyond the COVID-19, which we hope to end soon.
So right now you are saying that it is certified, it is vetted, it is passed, it is okay.
It has not been vetted and maybe passed by the Minister of Education, but it's a process that Betty, I'm telling you, it is on, and we are very, very much certain that it's going to go through, given the circumstances. Remember, what they look at is, are you offering anything that is within the confines of the syllabus? Are the people who are doing it qualified personnel, so that we can be able to talk about teachers, for example, offering this content, and going through what we can be able to call the syllabus here. That is the outline that has been given by the Ministry of Education through KICD. Is it within the confines, Betty? And this is what we have looked into. And before we even get to the Minister of Education and maybe have this process verified and also validated, we have the personnel who are working behind the scenes to make sure once it goes there, it's legit. But again, for it to be available to these children, we know that by doing so, we are not breaching any kind of regulation that has been laid down by the Minister of Education.
So right now it's working and it's on.
It is working and it is on.
Okay. How many schools have you been able to get through with this kind of program?
Betty, we've gone through some challenges here and there. We visit schools every other time, and we realize that the gates are closed. Remember, there's a presidential directive.
Yes.
So we've been able to have 2 schools right in Kitengela, and I wish to maybe have them. I'm not going to mention their names, rather, for confidentiality purposes, because the process is not yet complete.
Yes.
But again, for the community around and wherever we live, because this program has been out there, and we have also been able to share it on social media in terms of this is what we have, this is what is coming. We have been able to reach out to parents, and the parents have also been able to influence to some extent their head teachers to be able to check out this Monsignor platform, and through them, it's legit. The parents are just very, very ready to be able to commit to this.
Okay, so you said you have the channel where you go through the school to the parents and then eventually to the students.
Yes.
And you have also mentioned that you have had challenges here and there, part of them being that you are not able to access and meet with the principals as per the regulations that are being set right now. But now, is this a free online learning, or parents have to pay for it?
Parents have to pay for it, Betty, because remember, everything that we are doing, there is also capital input into it. We are also having personnel who are also part of the human resource behind this platform, Betty. And we'll be able to appreciate them by at least having a part of their backs for bringing this on board. And also that means something has to be placed in terms of food on their table. So the parents are supposed to part with something so that we can be able to support this process.
How are they paying? Now that you are going through the school, are they paying to you directly, or they have to pay to the school in form of school fees, in form of a subject? How are they able to pay?
Now, the current option, and again, there'll be a breakthrough of the second option by the end of this week. We'll have the school subscribing into the system as a school, as a unit. And again, they'll have to give us the population that is going to enroll, because the system, the way it has been configured, it's very easy for us to be able to monitor the traffic within the system. And when we now allow the parents to be able to directly subscribe on their behalf of their students and pupils at this level, we'll be able now to the parents to be able to subscribe directly to the system. In fact, that is maybe the direction that all of it will be taken, because now the head teachers, you can see the headache ahead, where now they'll have maybe to work from maybe wherever they are and make sure that the students are at home. So given the directive that is already working and it's already in place, the second option, once it takes in place, the parents will be able to subscribe to this system on behalf of their students or their children rather. That's it.
In that case, will there be need then to have the school? Because if the parent is able to subscribe on behalf of the student, and if all the parents are not willing to go through the school, then what happens in this case?
In our reasoning in the first place, Betty, it was important for us to go through the school system, given that it is a channel where the parents are able to say, yes, if Mr. So-and-so, who is a principal, says this is the way to go, they are able to legitimize the process without going really through the due process, because the communication will be done from one-stop shop. That's supposed to be the office of the principal and maybe the academic staff who are working for the institution on behalf of the parents out there. But again, now there are those parents who are able now to say, this is what we need, and the content that is being offered by Monsena, for instance, we know it, and we know it's going to be able to take these children through in terms of content. So as much as we were going through the school in the first place, we still had back in mind that we could be able to reach out to the parent directly through offering the system out there. But for us to be able to legitimize the process in the first place, it was very, very important for the principals and the head teachers in question here to be able to go through the system and verify and say, yes, it's okay. But with the current challenge that we are facing in terms of their presence in their offices, given the problem that we are facing as a country here, it will now be very important for us to be able to make sure these parents, yes, subscribe to this Monsena system on behalf of their children. But again, be able to also look into how can we be able, for example, from wherever the head teachers and principals are, how can they be able to say, as you get into Monsena's system of learning, that is the electronic learning, so that you can be able to continue the syllabus in question this time, you are free, and you are given my word as a principal of school X to be able to go through this process, and your children will be helped through Monsena.
Okay, I get it. If the principals actually agree and accept to have this curriculum and this syllabus to their students, do you still think they have relevance of their teachers? What will be the work of the teachers in that particular school after the parents agree and consent to this kind of a system?
Now, we may not actually be working directly with the teachers concerned here in specific schools, because at the end of the day, Betty, we are looking at Kenya as large. And in case we need to have the teachers involved, that's where now the office of the principal came in question. But again, where is this issue of the teachers coming in? You know, we're also creating a platform where we can be able to interact with teachers from all corners of this country and be able to have their views on the issues to do with the system, not actually meaning that they are there to verify or to confirm that the content is okay, because the team that we are working behind this system basically are people who are academically well oriented, academically well schooled in the area of education, and we have specific personnel who are also teachers at different levels, all the way from grade 1 to Form 4.
So how are you going to check, and how are you going to give examinations? Who is gonna mark your exams? How are you going to graduate students to the next level? Okay,
we may not talk about graduating students to this at to the next level, maybe from, let's say, grade 1 to grade 2, because it's our sincere hope that this problem of COVID-19 is going to end soon. Again, we have a portal where we have we are able to upload examinations for these pupils, and mostly from grades 5 to grade 8, where we are able now to have the question item set, and we have the objectives A, B, C, and D, as it is usually do even at the examination level that is supposed to be KCPE. So the system is able to mark this exam and also relay the results right to the individual pupils from the comfort of their homes. When it comes to high school, it's a bit also tricky because most of the questions that they do is usually based on subjective marking. But again, for specific, let's say, subjects like CRE, there are areas where we have objective kind of question items where the system can be able to mark. And in the event that we do have like biology where they are supposed to answer the questions objectively and mark also subjectively, we have teachers on the ground, right from Form 1 to Form 4 in specific subjects, where they can be able to mark, and we're able to upload not only the score that the student has been able to attain, but the whole paper in terms of if question 2 you've missed. The correction is done there in red and also uploaded and relayed to the portal of the individual student. Remember, once the parent subscribes, for instance, there is now that portal where the individual and a student can be able to access the materials that we have for them in terms of maybe individual class level, and also if there are examination materials directly for that student or for that pupil, they can be able now to access in terms of maybe what you've asked. Have the questions been marked? Yes or no? If they have been marked, for primary school going children, right from class 5 to class 8, even it's 844 and it's objective questioning, they are able now to get their scores, maybe if it's out of 50 or out of 100%. For high school, it has to be marked manually by the individual staff that we do have, and these kind of results are relayed. But again, we'll be able to face some challenges because in Form 1 and Form 4, because as the numbers charge, we have also to obey the rule and be able now to make these students comfortable, and the marking, it must be effective for them now to be able to realize effectiveness of this system and also efficiency. Betty?
This silent monster, the COVID-19, is here with us, and we are not sure when he's gonna go away. But we have hope that soon this thing is going to come to an end. But Richard, before we get to that point, because right now we're in a period of uncertainty, we can only build in some hope. Listening to you, I get it that this system or Monsena is serving a particular class of students, because I have to be a student that has Wi-Fi and strong Wi-Fi for that matter. I also should have a gadget, because what am I going to use to do my homework and submit my work? What do I need? I don't need just my exercise books, you know. They have somehow become irrelevant. How am I going to get my notes? What happens?
Betty, we appreciate the fact that we have a section of Kenyans who are able to subscribe to this system because they have internet connectivity, and more especially those who are in town areas.
Yeah.
We also have a group of students, also pupils who are in the marginalized areas, and they can't be able to access this service. That's a challenge that we have to address, but it is not that easy for us to be able to do so, because now we do have other internet subscribers in question here. Now, maybe to tackle your first question in terms of this is an area where we do not know where the COVID-19 is going to take us, and for how long are we going to be able to go through this. Remember, we have that at the back of our minds. We are preparing every other day for any eventuality. And what is happening is that because we do have teachers who are working with us, and they do have the know-how of how the syllabus is supposed to be covered, how much content is supposed to be covered at any one given time in the term. The questions that they are setting, they are basically based on the content area that they are supposed to have covered at this particular time. So on what we do is that we do not do what we call summative kind of an examinations where we teach like all the way, for example, from January to March, and then before the students or pupils break for their Easter holidays, we do a summative examination. We are doing this in a way that first we avail what we call summarized notes, notes that have been summarized right from the books that have been passed or they have been validated by KICD, if it's at primary level or at secondary level. And again, out of that, on weekly basis, we are able to upload on every Sunday from midnight. We are able to upload questions that are already typed, and not so many, at most 10 of them. So those 10 questions, if it's at secondary level, they are able now to interact with them. And by the end of the week, the next Sunday, before the answers are relayed to them by the teachers, they are able now to look at the areas that now the teachers are able to look at the areas that the students went wrong, and they are able to correct right from the paper that has been already uploaded back by the particular student after they have already been able to do that right from the comfort of their houses. And there is also an area where, though we have not reached that point, we are able now to have a chat room where we can do what we call video conferencing with them at convenience, to be able to explain some of these areas that may not necessarily be understood through relaying of the information via the system in writing. Betty?
Yes, so I got you, but I'm still on the bit of the class of students that you are reaching out to. Because even if their parents are able to access internet connectivity, then it means each student in that house needs to have a laptop. What else can they use? Maybe an iPad, you know? So if a parent has 4 children, then each of them has got to have a laptop or their own iPad where they can do their work. Do you also have time frames where they must, the time frames to which they must submit their work?
Okay, the interaction via the system is usually between 8 to 10.
Okay.
8 to 10. And again, from 4 to 8. Now, this is a concession that we gave to this system. Remember the laptops that they may be having in particular houses, or even the iPads and the tablets. They belong to their parents. Not many of the homes have children who have their own laptops and also have their own iPads or even the tablets. So to speak, we consider that time, given that we have a scores of parents who are right at home because of this COVID-19. They're working right from the comfort of their houses. So we have also put their budget in terms of using this gadget into consideration, where from 8 to 10, for example, are you able to give your son or daughter this gadget to them for them to be able to make use of them? From 4 to 8 in the evening, are they able to access this gadget so that at least they can be able to learn? That is exactly the consideration that we gave, and that timetable is already out, and it is also subject to review because we are also having an area where we have the feedback from the parents on how we can be able maybe to adjust so that at least they can be able to assist their children through the gadgets that we are talking about.
So if a parent has 3 or 4 children, then how do they share? If the work is supposed to be done between 8 and 10, and I have 3 students who are supposed to work on the same laptop that I have, how does that happen? Do you give more time, like one person can work 8 to 10 and the other picks for the next 2 hours and like that?
So far what we have done per subject, we have time allocation per subject, because when we began, we also realized that the timetable before it was out and the system is running, you realize that the availability of the notes in the system and the issue of the gadget that these children are using right from home, it also brought issues to do with conflict of timing here. So for every subject, we have allocated 30 minutes. I remember what we have said, that these are notes that are extremely summarized.
Yes.
And if there are questions, you have minimized because of, for the sake of timing. Though if it is, we have given maybe a quiz supposed to take 1 week for them to be able to even go and research in areas where they deem it mostly in high schools, and also maybe the advanced levels of the upper primary that's supposed to be class 7 and 8. So what we do, we've tried to allocate time per subject. But when it comes now to the issue of, you have 3 children, each one of them has to access those notes, has to access the area of the questions and be able to at least be able to do their work. It has not been easy for us to be able to come to that conclusion, Betty, because here I'm working with an area where I have 3 children, and there's only 1 laptop. There's not even a tablet or even maybe
iPad.
an iPad. Now, going way forward, I may not speak on behalf of the parent, but this is an area that now we are trying to sort it out as Monsena, so that we see how best can we be able to take care of the pre-primary school going child all the way up to Form 4. Because even some of them, apart from
as you were doing that,
yes.
what options do you have? What options do you have? Because you are saying you are trying to solve it, you know,
Yes.
from your side. What
Yes.
options do you have?
Yes.
Yes, what options do you have?
Now, the options that we do have currently, we are looking at the candidates. We are looking at the candidates first. These homesteads, most of them have candidates
Yes.
who are taking their KCP at the end of the year, hopefully. And we also have the KCSE candidates who are taking their end of year examinations, hopefully.
Yes.
We have that kind of a priority. Every student here is very important for them to be able to go through their syllabus. But we have also that kind of a consideration where if we have, I have 2 children, and my ex-son is in class 8, and the other is in class 5. It will be for the interest of the parents, for them to be able to take care of this child who is doing the exam at the end of the year. So going forward, we are looking at the candidates first, giving them first priority in terms of time allocation, and we also advising the parents directly, so that at least we can be able to work together amicably. And also, again, through them, they talk to their children who are in class 7 and below. And talking of also from 3 back to Form 1.
Okay. Richard,
Yes.
I get your point and your determination. I can see that clearly through this. I am also concerned. I know that parents may not want to fool themselves, but also at the same time, parents don't like the children to fail. Everybody wants the best for their children. How are you able to curb cheating at this time? Because if the questions are there and I do not want to see my child get a 2 out of 10, I will, do whatever I can to make them score better marks. How are you able to curb cheating and ensure that truly this is a result of the child and this work has not been done by the parent?
Now, Betty, for the sake of continuity of the syllabus, firstly, going through the syllabus and the questions that we are giving are just a reflection of what the child is going to expect at the end maybe of the year, maybe in terms of KCPE, and be able to interact with the books through the questions, for example, after they have gone through the notes that have already been summarized. And remember, at the end of every summary, we give a reference. For example, if it is, let's say, class 7 science, you realize that once we summarize this, one of the chapters maybe it is a human body, and we are talking about the circulatory system, that is how blood moves out of the body and back to the body, because that is one of the chapters in that syllabus. We are able now to have questions based on the same that reflect what they expect at the end of the syllabus or at the end of KCP, because KCP is a reflection of what the child has been able to do, right, from when they go to school, for example. But now when it comes now to the issue of now the examination that we are talking about, and in terms of cheating, and in terms of maybe sharing, let's say, for example, if it's a home that has maybe two children who are in the same class, and they are bound to use the same gadget, for example, or even different gadgets, but they're in the same home. How are we able to look into that? We are using we are not using really, lack of a better word. Let's talk about, maybe we are using the parents for them to be able to supervise their children independently. And we have also seen this work where if it is maybe the same living room, but different tables, if the parent is able to provide the two gadgets, or at any one given time, one child is doing the paper when the other one is out, if the gadget is one, that's the advice that we are giving the parents, because again, these parents also want the results that are legit at the end of the day, because if they cheat, at the end of the day, the KCP results, the KCSE results will not lie. So we are using the parents at this point to supervise any kind of questions that we give them out.
Richard, parents being at home right now, basically they are also working from home, some of them, and especially those who have their laptops are also working from home. And it doubles in to be lots of work for them to do their work, to take a rest and do some other things, and also to tuition, their children. And at the same time, pay school fees, for the children they're having to tuition by themselves at home. Is it possible that you as Monsignor come up with your own gadgets and give to your students who have subscribed, so that the parents have their space and the child is able to access this gadget and use it, so that you can also supervise and know this has actually been done by the student and not the parent, because you're also eating into so much of the parents' time since they have to work at home. A lot of parents are working at home right now.
Betty, I know that most of the parents are working at home, and I'm one of the primary examples here. I'm working from home, and I'm also using these gadgets.
Yes.
Monsignor is looking, just as I started saying, we are looking beyond the COVID-19. And for us to be able to have gadgets, just like, for example, if I have to take you back, when the government of the day started running the operations of this country, there were schools, and more especially the public schools, a pilot program, who are given tablets, remember? And they were fed with also content from KICD.
Yes.
Now, I think whatever you are asking is just related to that. And it is really a huge project. It is not a project that we can say we can start today and maybe end tomorrow or in a week's time.
True.
But we are also looking into simplifying that through mostly using the system. We are looking into it that it can be able even to open in phones. Remember, when you talk about a phone, there are parents who have already bought smartphones for their children, and smartphones, for example, they have there are some that are relatively cheap, so to speak. That is where we want to start in, before we can go to an extent of having maybe laptops or iPads that we feed the kind of content that we like our children to be able to access, and maybe give these parents out there at a fee. Because if, for example, we talk about maybe a tablet that is going basically maybe for between 8,000 to 10,000, and we feed these content into them, we're also asking ourselves, how many homesteads can be able to afford the 8,000 to 10,000 kind of a gadget, and maybe I have 2 or 3 children.
But so that's the direction. That's the direction you are going. That's the direction you are going, so and it may be inevitable for this time.
Yeah, it is going to be inevitable for this in this time.
Yes.
But as I've said earlier, it's a capital intensive kind of a program where either way, where we may maybe opt for the parent to buy the gadget, feed the content, or otherwise we avail the content to our own gadgets and maybe supply them to our parents. But maybe going by the second option of Monsena having the gadget, feeding the content, and selling out that content or giving out that content to the parent, that means the parent has also to compensate on the amount of money that we've also used as Monsena to buy.
Okay.
So we are looking at not those who can be able to afford, but we are looking also beyond that to be able to reach out to every child in this country, because every child in this country in terms of school program matters a lot. That's
Okay.
why we are considering funds to begin with.
Okay, Richard, we have a very short time left. One of the
Yes.
things that I would like to hear from you before I let you go is
Yes.
it sounds to me like Monsena is like another different kind of school. You know, it's a setting, it's a school setting where you have your professionals, you have your teachers, and you are set to do this. And my concern is, you already said that you are looking beyond COVID-19. What is your plan after COVID-19? Is this program and project, which is really intense as I hear it, still going to be relevant? How are you going to ensure sustainability of this kind of a project?
Now, Betty, going forward after COVID-19, even before it ends, remember this program, we envision it to partnering with the government of Kenya. And as the changes that we are seeing in the country in terms of the education system, the system 844 is being phased out. And we are working on this issue, and that's why the professionals that I've mentioned before are behind the scenes and working on this.
Yes.
Remember, it has also been a challenge for the government to be able to transition the CBC.
True.
And maybe do away with the 844.
Yes.
So beyond COVID-19, one, we want to partner with the government of Kenya, so that at least now we can be able to demystify and also be able to reach out to as many students in this country via this platform, mostly during the holidays, April, August, and also December, and over the weekends, and as a supplement of what KICD is offering. Remember, we also have publishers, that is the book publishers in this country, and also KICD who have been offering this. But they have been doing so as a subsidy. And for most of these publishers, for example, whatever they are offering is just the content that of the books that have already been validated by the KICD, which is the representing government of the day here.
But Richard,
so what we are doing,
Richard,
yes.
Look at the plan that you have, that once
Yes.
schools resume to the normal
Yes.
way that we have been used to, then you want to continue doing this during the holidays, and you mentioned April, August, and December. Don't you think that is a holiday time, it's a break time, it's a time to, you know, relax and not to continue engaging in school? Because we have had this tuition kind of a problem, and it was solved by, you know, don't do tuition and take a break during those times. What is going to be your relevance continuing with education even during holidays?
Okay, to be specific here, Betty, by the time schools are closing, children are given what we call takeaway assignments to go and do at home. That is maybe what I had not clarified on.
Okay.
It is not basically teaching per se over the holiday, but again, be able to cushion what we call giving of assignments during the holidays, and maybe specific over the weekend. But now, to be more specific, when it comes to that, we'll be able now to work very closely with the school without necessarily going to the parent and be able to subscribe into this system directly. For example, if we have a school wire and we are closing today for the Easter holidays, this is the work that we may wish our teachers to give in terms of you go home and you do these assignments in your book. So instead of doing so,
I will do my last question because we are out of time, and that is,
Yes.
is there an app? How do I access Monsena?
Now, you can access Monsena at www.monsena.co.ke.
Yes.
Again, for further information, you can also reach us on 0705 888 333.
Okay.
Yes.
Richard, please give us your parting shot because we are out of time and we have to let you go.
Now, to the viewers and maybe my fellow Kenyans, for whatever is we are going through as a country is very much unfortunate. This is not our making, and remember, this is also a global perspective where every other country in this world is facing this menace. But again, when it comes to the issues of learning has to continue. And we already are very, very much fortunate because we can technologically be able to access content beyond our classroom, where we are able now to access programs like this Monsana is offering virtually. So what I'm just going to maybe encourage students out there, but I'm going also to encourage the parents who out there who are very much worried about what is going on, is to be able to subscribe into Monsena, be able to get into our system through the website that we have already been able to given,
Okay.
and study it before they can be able to maybe go on with this. But for any question that they may be able to have already, we have our contacts with you.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Richard. It has been such an awesome time listening to you and giving us solutions for learning at home, even during this time of COVID-19. I hope that this has reached out to as many parents as possible and they are going to action on it. Thank you so much, viewer. It has been a lovely time having you watch this episode at Chungu cha Jamii. It has really, really been a blessed time. My name is Betty Akuku. I have been your host. Please keep in touch and see you next time.